Okay, so unless you live under a rock like me, hopefully you've seen the video with Timothée Chalamet where he is making very pointed comments about some of the classical art sectors like ballet and opera. If not, here's a clip.
People, and I've done it myself, to go on a talk show and go, hey, we got to keep movie theaters alive. You know, we got to keep this genre alive. And another part of me feels like if people want to see it like Barbie, like Oppenheimer, they're going to go see it and go out of their way to be loud and proud about it. And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, you know, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore. All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 14 cents in viewership. But, damn, I just took shots for no reason.
That's not a shot. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So.
Sorry.
Okay, so like everybody and their mom has been talking about Timothée Chalamet and the comments that he has been making. Literally every like third tweet has been about Timothée Chalamet. Now, in years past, when I thought he was a little cutie patootie, I wouldn't have minded him being on my feed so much. But now it's getting to the point of the ridiculous. We can move on now, I think. So one comment says, from Decoding Fox News, it says the Metropolitan Opera is a nonprofit, so it's able to offer a limited number of discount seats. It's often cheaper than Broadway, no kidding. Opera will blow your mind away. Ballet is the same, and you can also get deals on the seats if you plan ahead. So good to know. I'll read some more comments and I'll give my commentary. So AT's spoofs this Matthew McConaughey film, I believe it was with Kate Hudson, and puts Timothy's face on top, and it goes, How to Lose an Oscar in 10 Days. I believe the original film was called How to Lose a Man in 10 Days. Wasn't my favorite film, but love the pun. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll put it in as well. Celeb Snap says, OMG, close sources, that's oh my goodness or oh my god. Close sources claim the Academy is working to include a ballet performance at the Oscars, reportedly ending with a speech by Timothée Chalamet after his controversial comments at a recent interview. That would be funny, and that would actually make me watch the Oscars if they showed something like that. So, who knows? Films to Films says, it's impressive how fast Timothée Chalamet went from Hollywood's most exciting young actor to one of its most arrogant and unlikable figures. That's been the trend of mostly of what I've been seeing, that people really think that he is unlikable because, and even I'm not even gonna lie to you, before he seemed so mysterious, so brooding, so thoughtful and philosophical, and of course he's half French, and so, you know, and I would see him, I haven't seen most of his filmography, I'm not gonna lie. Let me just quickly look up Timothée Chalamet. I know the most recent things I've seen of him were Dune. I very much enjoyed him as, was it Lisan Al-Ghalib? I very much enjoyed him in that role, but I can't say that I have been that big on his filmography. Yeah, I'm just quickly scrolling through. Yeah, I haven't really seen much of his work. And that's just on me. But I very much love Dune. I really did enjoy seeing him in that role. I did hear he was critically acclaimed for Call Me By Your Name. I haven't seen it yet. And of course, he was in that Little Women remake. I've never watched any of the Little Women remakes. I maybe should. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But I did like that book, so maybe one day. Let's see if I have any more things screenshot. Sorry, I just want to come back to this one tweet. As I reread it, it does say it's a parody account for Snap Celebs, so it would have been funny for a ballet performance at the Oscars featuring a speech from Timothée, but please disregard that part. Let's keep going. It's so annoying to me that I retweeted so many things, and I'm getting so frustrated looking through my own retweets to find stuff. I should have just sent it to my own Telegram chat like I usually do. It is well. So the Timothée Chalamet drama got so big that they featured it on SNL. I am not going to clip SNL because SNL likes to do copyright strikes and things like that. But Spencer Althouse basically gave us a nice description of the video. It says SNL's weekly update joke about Timothy Chalamet's controversial opera/ballet comment. Colin Jost, so that's the man to the right sitting in front of the globe background with Timothy Chalamet in that red square. It says, Timothy Chalamet is being criticized by major opera and ballet organizations after he said that no one cares about those art forms. Chalamet made the comment on a press tour for his movie about ping pong. Next slide. Mandy says, this is the moment that Timothy Chalamet passed away to me. Interesting. Next slide. Hans says, Timothy Chalamet mocking ballet and opera, art forms that are around for 400 plus years. Ballet requires years of brutal discipline and live performance where there are no 100 retakes like in film. Even Matthew wanted to shut it down. If I didn't mention it before, Timothy was talking to Matthew McConaughey in front of an audience. That's why he's dating a Kardashian. Bye-bye, Oscar. I want to say something, but I want to read some more. If I don't get back to this specific picture, remind me. Heidi says, the Timothy Chalamet shade pre-Oscars is reaching insane levels. So we'll get to that in a second, but the National Board of Review and several other institutions that support more classical forms of arts have spoken out in defense of their industry and in critique of what Timothy Chalamet had to say. So next slide. This name is crazy. Timothy Chalamet's Impregnator says, I understand the point Timothy tried to make, but I think the hater allegations are funnier. Because what do you mean he's singing opera right after whacking it? And then he does a whole bunch of laughing emojis. I want to get back to that point in a minute soon too. So these last two tweets, we'll get back to that. Let me read an article and I'll throw up a few videos of different responses from organizations and let's keep it moving. Okay, so this article was written by the Hollywood Reporter. It says, American opera singer Isabelle Leonard responds to Timothy Chalamet. Quote, honestly, I'm shocked that someone so seemingly successful can be so ineloquent and narrow-minded in his views about art, while considering himself as an, in square brackets, an artist, as I would only imagine one would as an actor. Only a weak person / artist feels the need to diminish, in fact, the very arts that would inspire those who are interested in slowing down to do just that. So I'll read the full article now. I'm realizing now that I've spent about 4 hours straight on TikTok, which was not my plan for today. But I still have more things I want to read, and I kind of am still in a vibe to talk, so let's go. All right, so I was talking about Timothy Chalamet and the Oscars. I realized you're like, yeah, you were just doing that in the video. Yeah, well, I walked away from the screen, and I'm trying to find my spot, so just give me a sec. Yes, so we're reading this article here from the Hollywood Reporter. If you see me looking down, I have the same article on my phone, just because the record button is so big that it covers it covers like the bottom part of the screen. Okay, so this is by the Hollywood Reporter under their movie news section. It says the opera and ballet communities haven't taken those Timothy Chalamet comments well. Quote, we should be trying to uplift these art forms, end quote. The quote, Marty Supreme, end quote, star, is taking some heat after a clip from his conversation with Matthew McConaughey resurfaced and showed Chalamet saying, quote, no one cares, end quote, about ballet or opera. This was written by Lily Ford on March 6, 2026 at 8:44 a.m., presumably PST time. Okay, so the caption below the photo, it just basically shows Timothy Chalamet standing in front of the Actors Awards BAFTA sign, and it says Timothy Chalamet attends the 32nd Annual Actor Awards. It says award season can be tough. You're at the forefront of every red carpet, every show, doing every interview, and marketing yourself as best you can while promoting a film. All eyes are on you, and it unfortunately leaves you wide open to criticism. Take a look at Best Actress Oscar frontrunner Jessie Buckley, who this week is catching flack on social media for admitting that she asked her now husband to rehome his cats when they started dating. See, I never saw that one. Anyway, next slide. Basically same screenshot except the bottom paragraph is added. It says, despite his successful Marty Supreme marketing moves, Timothée Chalamet is also not exempt from the online furor. In a resurfaced clip from his live conversation with Interstellar co-star Matthew McConaughey for Variety, the duo discuss audiences' eroded attention spans and whether there is an appetite for slower-paced films. Next slide. Chalamet said that there is among younger fans, citing Netflix's Frankenstein, adding, quote, "It does take you having to wave a flag of, quote, hey, this is a serious movie, end quote, or something. And some people do want to be entertained and quickly. I'm right in the middle, Matthew," end quote. He continued, quote, "I admire people, and I've done it myself, who go on a talk show and say, quote, hey, we've got to keep movie theaters alive. We've got to keep this genre alive," end quote. And another part of me feels like if people wanted to see it, like Barbie, like Oppenheimer, they're going to go and see it and go out of their way to be loud and proud about it, end quote. The Academy Award nominee then says, quote, "I don't want to be working in ballet or opera where it's like, quote, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this anymore," end quote. He says with a laugh, quote, "All respect to the ballet and opera people out there. I just lost 40 cents in viewership. I'm taking shots for no reason," end quote. Now that last part was a little shady. Okay, about the 14 cents in viewership and taking shots for no reason. I kind of wonder if he just forgot himself for a minute there and was trying to just recuperate his thoughts, but it came off as really callous. But anyway, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Next slide. This is the part that has done the rounds on social media and left opera houses and ballet dancers a little fired up. In a statement to The Hollywood Reporter on Friday, a spokesperson from the UK's flagship opera house countered Chalamet's claims. The Royal Ballet and Opera said, quote, "Ballet and opera have never existed in isolation. They have continually informed, inspired, and elevated other art forms. Their influence can be felt across theater, film, contemporary music, fashion, and beyond. For centuries, these disciplines have shaped the way these artists create and audiences experience culture, and today millions of people around the world continue to enjoy and engage with them," end quote. Opera singer Isabelle Leonard also responded to the clip. She wrote in a comment about the Chalamet video, quote, "Honestly, I'm shocked that someone so seemingly successful can be so ineloquent and narrow-minded about his views about the art, while considering himself as, in square bracket, close square bracket, artist, as I would only imagine one would as an actor. To take cheap shots at fellow artists says more in this interview than anything else he could say. Shows a lot about his character," end quote. She continued, quote, "You don't have to like all art, but only a weak person / artist would feel the need to diminish, in fact, the very arts that would inspire those who are interested in slowing down to do exactly that," end quote. Elsewhere, Canadian opera singer Deepa Johnny called it a quote-unquote disappointing take, end quote, and said, quote, "There is nothing more impressive than the magic of live theater, ballet, and opera. We should be trying to uplift these art forms, these artists, and come together across disciplines to do that," end quote. Irish opera singer, now I don't know how the Irish be pronouncing their names, so I apologize. I'm assuming this is Sean Tester, posted on his Instagram to say that Chalamet's choice of words is, quote, "is the kind of reductive take you hear when popularity is mistaken for cultural value. They are not outdated art forms. They are living ones, constantly reinterpreted, constantly evolving. It's always fascinating when artists with global platforms dismiss opera and ballet as irrelevant. Opera and ballet have survived wars. To call these art forms irrelevant says far less about the art itself than it does about how little time someone has spent truly experiencing it," end quote. THR, that's the Hollywood Reporter, took a deep dive into Chalamet's widely speculated Oscar hopes this week, exploring how his Marty Supreme campaign lost momentum in the lead up to the 98th Academy Awards on March 15th. Okay, so there has been a number of comments on in response to Timothée Chalamet can I speak English right now? For example, the Royal Ballet and Opera posted a video on their social media showing the thousands of people, hundreds and thousands of people who are showing up to the show, basically saying that we care. So Ben Dreyfus says, "It's so funny that the operas are treating this like 9/11. And then a Timothée account says, as the original caption, "Not Timothée inspiring a quote-unquote we care movement. This can't be real." Next. There have been a few posts coming out defending Timothy. Jourdain Searles says, online anger without curiosity is so belligerent and childish. Timothy's sister, Pauline, did ballet. His mother taught dance. He was just ineloquently pointing out how ballet and opera aren't mainstream entertainment, in part because they are cost prohibitive. And she adds, okay, well, it seems like y'all are just dedicated to being angry about this, so have at it. This isn't a defense. I just genuinely don't think it matters. Stop talking to me, lol. Roxy says, if a celebrity isn't being like a crazy bigot or something, I don't understand getting upset about their opinions. So this man I will never meet and do not know now doesn't like opera or ballet. That describes most men on the planet in relation to me. Interesting thoughts. I have not yet shared my thoughts, but we'll do that later. So there have been some really interesting videos / takes that have been coming out in response to Timothy's comments. So this person, Senful, says, the way this one video is him being multifaceted, naming dancers and sports guys, but the internet can't comprehend this at all. Well, the clip that you have here didn't go viral. The other one did. But let's play it.
Here, there's a physicality approach, like, you know, again, it sounds pretentious, but like Baryshnikov and Balanchine and the way these dancers move, these classic ballet guys, I loved having that attitude. And the table tennis playing, obviously John McEnroe, Michael Jordan, these guys that were confrontational, and Mike Tyson. I love the idea that in ping pong you could have like a boxer mentality.
Doja Cat also weighed in on the drama.
Hey, by the way, opera is 400 years old. Ballet is 500 years old. Somebody named Timothée Chalamet had the nerve, big guy, by the way, had the nerve to say on camera that nobody cares about it. I'm sure you can walk into an opera theater right now, seats will be filled out, and nobody's saying a word as the performance is going because everybody has that much respect for it. There is an etiquette around opera. There is etiquette around ballet. It's amazing. It's an amazing theater medium. It's fucking beautiful. And people go there every day to the dance studio. Dancers show up 8 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever the fuck. They show up and they break and they bleed every single day. Just because they have respect for it. They love it. They love what they do. It doesn't matter if the industry is having a tough time at any time, which a lot of industries have a tough time. Your industry has a tough time. My industry has a tough time. Doesn't mean people don't care about it. People care. The dancers care. The singers care. The audience cares. There's still an audience. People give a fuck. You show up in a nice outfit, you sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. That's the usual etiquette around those things. Maybe learn something from that.
Unfortunately, I do not know who this content creator is. People are claiming his name is Forrest Rain and he's a ballet dancer, but I wasn't able to verify that for myself. But I thought his take was rather insightful as well, so I thought I'd add it in.
Here's my unpopular opinion about the Timothy Schmallet or whatever his name is video. He's got a point. The delivery was a bit insensitive, but the vast majority of people in the world do not care about ballet. We care about ballet because to be successful, you have to eat, sleep, and breathe it for 20 years. It's our whole world. It's our whole ecosystem. But it's a very niche profession. The reality is most ballet companies are struggling. If they only relied on ticket sales alone, no private donors, no government funding, ballet would be dead. Imagine, you get into the NFL, you're in the top 0.001% and you get a job. And your salary is the same as a full-time entry-level barista at Starbucks. And your contract's not even indefinite. You only get 1 year. And if you're in the US, you get 39, 41 weeks, and then you have to file for unemployment. You have to admit, the current business model is failing, and dancers are often the ones that suffer the most. Maybe there are some serious changes that need to be made to help ballet really thrive.
Let's add in a few more content creators to the mix.
No one does care about ballet or opera, and that is a hyperbolic way to say it. I wish that Timothée Chalamet said it in a different way, but everyone who works in these fields understands that no one cares, that you are fighting uphill because no one cares. You don't even probably care. you probably just don't like Timothée Chalamet, or you're like on the train of whatever this conversation is. But you probably don't even really care. You don't know who makes this work or what it's about, the artists, their names, where they come from, what institutions they belong to, what those institutions are. You don't visit them regularly or patronize them on a consistent basis. You don't even really care. You know, everyone who works in these fields knows that the subscriber bases are dying. The audience is dying. That's not a figure of speech. It's not a metaphor. They are literally geriatric and dying. It's one of the first things that you learn as a contemporary artist in the fine arts space, is that they are scrambling to find young people to replace their subscriber base, which is why you, in your echo chamber, being in the creative capital of America, New York City, get to go to one of the oldest ballet or opera institutions in the country and go see something for $35 because they are hemorrhaging money. The Metropolitan Opera just signed a five-year deal with Saudi Arabia so that they can get out of the financial hole that they're in. And there's two things about that. The Metropolitan Opera is one of the most prestigious and longest standing institutions in the country. That's one, that they're struggling. And two, is that you probably didn't hear about that until I just told you, because you don't know anything about the Metropolitan Opera, because you probably don't fucking care, because no one cares. Because no one cares, and no one who works in these spaces is confused about the fact that no one fucking cares. It's actually one of the central obstacles to getting the work done, is the acknowledgement that no one cares and you have to make them. These are multi-million-dollar productions. These are prestigious historic institutions worth hundreds of millions of dollars, begging people to support them, begging people to patronize them, promoting themselves like indie films or like independent unsigned SoundCloud artists. Support your local, support your local this. We got to keep the doors open. And it's the goddamn Met. That's the truth of like the economic and industrial position that these institutions and that this art is in. It's not about whether the art itself is good or valuable or merited. I don't think that that's even close to what Timothée Chalamet, who started out in the theater and has family who has done ballet and done up, I don't think that that's what he was trying to argue. I think the reality is that if you want to make art that reaches people, these industries have not built out the infrastructure that reaches people. I grew up in the South loving the arts and watching people argue about whether I should be able to stream a musical from home or not, or if I need to be someone that can fly to New York to see it live and in person for $400 in the balcony. These industries are having the same conversations that they were having 15 fucking years ago, 20, 30 years ago. You cannot spend multiple decades boxing out generations of Americans from widely engaging with your work, with your classism, your fat phobia, your body fascism, your racism, your misogyny. And I know that there are a lot of women who do ballet, but the senior positions of ballet and opera are male dominated. You cannot spend decades of your with your artistic industry boxing generations of Americans out and then be upset when the time comes that no one fucking cares because you have not given them the opportunity to form relationships to the work and the craft that you do. Obviously, there are artists now who are doing very hard work to undo that and to open the doors to more people, but damage is fucking done. And sorry, you're not going to gaslight people into being like, no, that's not true. Everyone cares about ballet. No one can name these people. No one can name opera singer. No, that's not the primary medium anymore. It's not the 1940s, and opera is not pop music anymore. That's not what it is. Broadway's having a uniquely great series right now. They're reaching new financial numbers. Like Broadway, I think, is doing very well, and I'm happy for them that CoComelon the musical starring Tiffany New York Pollard is going to open this fall, and that they can, break records. That's awesome. And also, you can't do a fucking play on Broadway until you become a TV star, a movie star. You know why? Because no one cares otherwise. No one fucking cares. Guys, let's be honest. Actually, the crux of the issue is that no one cares. Obviously, you care, you like the shit, but you caring is not enough to fuel and revitalize an industry. Writ large, generally speaking, people do not care. There's no government funding, there's no government subsidy, there's very little private funding. It's hard to come by, and if you're an artist, the best way to make a name for yourself is to be born rich. Hello? There are very real obstacles to this that are actually entirely connected to the fact that no one fucking cares. If people cared, all of this would be much easier, but that's not the reality that we live in. People do not care. And the other thing that makes me so annoyed with this conversation is that people who are upset at Timothée Chalamet's devaluation of dance and devaluation of music are also trying to devalue the very craft that he does. Timothée Chalamet is very good at what he does, and acting is no easier than ballet or no easier than opera. It's all very difficult. They are entirely independent skills that demand their own 10,000 hours of mastery or whatever. It's all difficult. It's all very difficult, and he does it at a very high level. And to pretend that he doesn't do it at a high level, or that the thing he's doing at a high level isn't as difficult, is also its own devaluation. It's like a snake eating itself. You're not actually helping the conversation by devaluing what he does because you don't like what he said. Because at the end of the day, there's still an entire community of actors who need people to fucking care. Hello? I know I just brought up a whole conversation about elitism, and I know this is going to sound hypocritical, but I don't think that we can have this conversation if when I say opera, you bring up Les Mis. You know what I'm saying? That's literally so not what we're talking about right now. If we really wanted to revitalize these artistic practices and make sure that they're, sustainable and that the next generation of people can inherit them, we would be having a conversation about how to open up this fucking pit instead of sticking our heads in the sand and acting like the numbers aren't declining. The numbers are declining. Less people year by year care. Nobody cares because no one even got the chance to care. That's the issue, and I think that's actually at the center of what he was trying to say, and anyone who's really paying attention is not confused about that. No one is confused about that.
I feel like a lot of people are ignoring some really important points in the Timothée Chalamet drama. How long did you have to train for? Every day for hours since I was 8 years old, and even then I had to be in the top 2% to even make it professionally. Wow, that is crazy. It's a good thing you aren't underappreciated. What? It must feel great to be paid exactly as much as you deserve to be. Screw Timothée Chalamet. He could never do what you do. Okay. Well, then why is he getting paid 500 times as much as me? What? I mean, you're right. Timothée Chalamet probably could only do my job about 1% as well as me. I'd probably do his job like 70% as well as him. So there's clearly two different skill floors in the industry. So then why am I the one who's barely making rent? Hollywood is greedy. Well, I'm not running a charity. If someone offered me $25 million for a performance, I'd take it. So why aren't they offering? Only the top few actors make that much money anyway. The most well-known living ballerina today, Misty Copeland, has a net worth about 1/5 what Timothée Chalamet was given for his latest movie. No, the ballet industry just sadly is smaller. Okay, but we're shifting the goalposts a little bit. I mean, the point is that he said ballet was unimportant. But he never actually said that. He said nobody cares about ballet, and well, obviously that's an overgeneralization. I mean, yeah, not nearly as many people care about it as they should. I mean, when's the last time anything about ballet was nearly as mainstream as an actor saying it was irrelevant? Well, the Winter Olympics... That was ice skating. Two completely different mediums. How about this? Have you ever actually watched a full-length opera? Well, no. Have you seen a movie in movie theaters before? Obviously. But that's so much more accessible than live performances. Okay, yeah. Well, have you ever seen a theater production? I have, but I mean, that's basically the stuff he was disrespecting. Did you just say that theater and opera were the same art form? That's like saying jazz and rap are the same music genre. Okay, but his own mother and sister are ballerinas. Yeah, he probably grew up watching them put in just as much work as him, but for less credit. I mean, going into this field, it's a disparaging sacrifice. It has bleak prospects, and that's sad, but the only reason it's not dying is because of all those people who have that much love for the art that they're willing to take that on them to make sure it doesn't die. That's kind of what he was saying. He just doesn't want to go into an industry where he has to do twice the work for 1/5 of the reward. I mean, I guess. But there is no war in Ba Sing Se, right? Let's just talk about how much we want art to keep thriving, but refuse to acknowledge the fact that sometimes it isn't. When a lot of the people upset that he said that people don't care about opera or ballet probably can't name a single opera besides Carmen and, maybe The Magic Flute. Oh, I can name more, and I do watch a lot of operas and ballets, so. And I'm thankful for that, because you are helping the industry, but you're not the average person. If people want ballet or opera to be as cared about as cinema, then go out and start caring about it. And if that's not your style of art and you just don't enjoy it that much, then that's completely fine. Just say it's underappreciated instead of claiming that it's integral to people's everyday lives. Okay, but he did phrase it pretty rudely. Yeah, and I agree with that. He almost makes it sound like he thinks they should be irrelevant. But that doesn't mean you can disregard any elements of truth within that. I mean, I think it was phrased terribly, and if you want to hate him for that, go ahead. I do not care. But if you look at some of the context around the clip, he's more so using it as an analogy to say that he will make whatever kind of movies the people want him to make. If that's a hugely touching drama, he'll make it. If that's a cheesy action film, he'll make it. Because he's not really an artist, he's a performer. Jim Henson was the same way. Some people have a passion for the craft, and others have a passion for inspiring people through the craft. And we need both of those people.
So in other words,
it's pretty much just the prestige.
It's always the prestige.
All right. So the Met Opera decided to post a video on, I believe, their Instagram account saying, "This one's for you," at Timothée Chalamet. Let's watch. Not to be outdone, the Royal Ballet and Opera also posted on TikTok and shared a few thoughts. They said, "Every night at the Royal Opera House, thousands of people gather for ballet and opera, for the music, for the storytelling, for the sheer magic of live performance. If you'd like to reconsider, at Timothée Chalamet, our doors are open. Hashtag the Royal Ballet, hashtag the Royal Opera, hashtag Royal Ballet and Opera." Let's see their video.
And I don't want to be working in ballet or opera or, things where it's like, hey, keep this thing alive, even though no one cares about this.
Oh, I almost forgot. Timothy's PR team worked quick because he realized that this interview was not hidden. So according to Synesthetic, he says, Timothée Chalamet talking about growing up at the backstage of the NYC Ballet and how that impacted him. Quote, "My grandmother, mother, and sister danced in the New York City Ballet. I grew up dreaming big at the backstage of the Koch Theater in New York," end quote. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. This is not my country. Next slide. Well, let's watch the video.
So in a previous interview, you had mentioned you danced, or
Exactly.
your sister liked to dance.
I grew up backstage at the New York City Ballet. My grandmother danced in the New York City Ballet. My mother danced in the New York City Ballet. My sister danced in the New York City Ballet. I grew up dreaming big backstage at the Koch Theater in New York,
And does that help then in situations like this?
Hugely. I'm like a Venn diagram of the best cultural influences of the 21st century and 20th century.